the rise of autonomous commerce and AI, we see that AI is now everywhere, be it planning, pricing, inventory, demand generation, design. And आपको लगता है will AI replace jobs?
आप नहीं करेंगे ना इसको embrace, so then I think.
So retail is changing. Every day that we see there are new fashion trends that are evolving. Hailey Bieber कुछ पहन लिया या some influencer will wear something and that's trending. So how do you keep in touch? What tools or which AI practices do you have to catch on early trends at PDS?
So
as a CEO, what happens when you don't find immediate right answers to the solutions?
go home and sleep.
Really?
मिल ही जाएगी मंजिल ठोकर खाते खाते, मिल ही जाएगी मंजिल ठोकर खाते खाते, गुमराह तो वो हैं जो घर से निकले ही नहीं.
Wow, amazing! I think the entire audience is clapping right now. Before we dive into the conversation, don't forget to hit subscribe and click the bell icon. It's a small click for you, but a big boost for us to keep bringing inspiring and fun conversations your way. We think of fashion as personal choice, but in reality, it's deeply influenced by global politics and trade. One trade decision in the US, one tariff announcement, one unpredictable move by leaders, and global supply chains shake overnight. Production slows, cost shifts, jobs get impacted. Today's guest sits right at the center of all of this. Sanjay Jain is the Group CEO of PDS Limited, a company that powers global fashion supply chains across continents. In this episode, we are breaking down how global politics, tariffs, and instability are reshaping fashion, what it means for India, and how leaders make billion-dollar decisions when the world refuses to stay stable. If you want to understand how global businesses actually work behind the scenes, this episode is for you. Hi Sanjay, thank you so much for being here on Find Out with Ragini. I want to start with, firstly, I know nobody will ask you this, but you're the Group CEO of PDS. So first question would be, what does PDS do and what is your role there? So help us out.
Thank you, Ragini, for having me over. PDS is an Indian MNC, a global fashion supply chain solution provider. What in a sense it means is that a retailer in a Western world largely is my customer, and I would really encourage them that you kindly focus on the front end, the customer interface, the entirety of it, the visual merchandise, in-store experience, loyalty programs. Leave the backyard to me. That's what I do in terms of from designing to planning of the assortment to actually getting it manufactured, the supply chain part of it. So this is in a sense our business, and we keep evolving in the sense that whatever we are doing many years back was entirely sitting in retailers' house only.
So उनको खुद से ही they had to do the designing, they had to do the manufacturing, and now comes PDS. They are like, आप सिर्फ दुकान चलाइए, सामान हम भरेंगे.
जैसे आप IT सेक्टर की बात करें, 25-30 years back, everything used to be in-house. आपका सर्वर, आपका connectivity, audio, visual, जैसे जैसे the market saw the emergence of credible counterparties on one hand, and on the other hand, there was a lot more stringent expectation to stay close to what is core to your business.
Correct.
तो आपको लगा कि मेरा काम अगर कपड़े या होम फर्निशिंग के असॉर्टमेंट बेचना है, वो मेरा काम है. पीछे का बैकएंड शायद रिलेटिवली मेरे लिए इम्पोर्टेंट है, पर कोर के नीचे है, पर मैं इसको कैसे जाने दूं? Now, as the market saw in the IT sector the emergence of a TCS or an HP or an Infosys, credible counterparties, you felt the comfort of letting it go.
Yeah.
This is my journey at PDS, that I am trying to enable a retailer take that decision, and with passage of time establish my credibility that I will take care of it.
And you did a brilliant job in that. So
we're trying to do it. Yeah, it's a journey.
So I went through your website and it says that entrepreneur-led sourcing and manufacturing solutions platform. Now, what does that mean? Do you mean that you have a lot of entrepreneurs? Explain that to us.
The answer simply is yes.
Okay.
But how did it actually come to that? Yeah. So Palak Seth, who's the vice chairman, he is the founder's son, but founder is Dr. Deepak Seth, is 75 plus. And Dr. Deepak Seth has been, the one who kind of somewhere conceived that India could export garments.
Right.
So he started exporting, then he set up manufacturing facilities, in India, outside India, And when his two sons joined him about 25 years back, the elder one is Palak Seth, he's a Northwestern graduate. He believed in what dad was doing in terms of serving the customers, but he wanted to do it in a different manner. He said, you have set up manufacturing, I will work with manufacturers.
Oh, wow.
I will build something on top of it wherein I need to have the flexibility of from where I source from. The father and sons always is like a little bit of break away from the tradition.
Yeah.
And the father said, okay, go and build your company. And
the
then,
father trusted the son to take it to the next generation.
Yeah, we can debate about it. So Palak moved to Hong Kong. And because Hong Kong has been an important trading hub,
right,
wherein a lot of global retailers who are sourcing from the eastern part of the world set up their regional sourcing offices in Hong Kong.
Okay.
And Palak went there, in 1 year, he could actually work with retailers. It's a B2B business.
Right.
So therefore relationship
is very
with
important.
the buyer is very important. And he felt that in the wining and dining, in the lunch and dinners, he could do 10 million of business in 1 year, 1 million of profit, but he put on 15-20 kgs of weight. And so how could he scale up from 10 to 100?
Right.
Now, when you have to scale up, you need people to be partnered with you.
And he was doing this all alone till then?
He was doing this largely all alone.
Okay.
And now when you want to hire somebody, that somebody should have the wherewithal, should have the maturity, experience of now working with the buyer.
Right.
And then engage in a similar manner to convince them that why they should deal with somebody like PDS, who does not have manufacturing, but has a partnership with manufacturing.
Right.
But why would somebody believe in a youngster like Palak, a $10 million company? And where do you get these people from? They're actually your customers.
Wow.
Who are working with large multi-billion-dollar organization. Now started coming to how the entrepreneurship happened. So Palak reached out to these guys. He could have some few people who actually wanted to be entrepreneurs. So Palak said, guys, come and join me. Whatever is your cost of living is something that I show that we will.
And this was back in Hong Kong.
हाँ, this was back in Hong Kong.
और लोगों ने उन पे trust किया.
हाँ, यही. In fact, आपने बहुत अच्छी बात बोली that Palak's pedigree, that he is a well-established businessman's son. He is graduated from a very reputed university और अपने भरोसे पे कुछ करना चाह रहा है.
Correct.
तो उससे अच्छे credentials क्या होंगे? And Palak ने बोला, मैं और आप मिलके धंधा करेंगे. हम एक कंपनी खोलते हैं नीचे, उसमें आप 20-25% के मालिक हो.
Wow.
So therefore आपको एक entrepreneurship का मौका मिल रहा है.
And
So therefore this need, कहते हैं ना आवश्यकता आविष्कार की जननी है. So this need of expanding PDS led to this entrepreneurship model. आज की डेट में ना बहुत लोग बात करते हैं, अरे यार PDS इज अ फेडरेशन ऑफ एंटरप्रेन्योर्स, 40 लोग काम करते हैं जिनकी पार्टनरशिप है, हमें भी ये मॉडल एम्ब्रेस करना चाहिए. लॉट ऑफ ह्यूमिलिटी, बहुत आसान है पावर पॉइंट में बात करना, पर किसी को 20-25% स्टेक एक्चुअली देना, प्लस हैव एन ऑपरेटिंग मॉडल वेर इन वो पार्टनर एम्पावर्ड फील करता है. येस, आई हैव अ 75-80% ओनर इन PDS, बट आई फील दिस इज माई कंपनी. So that's who we are in terms of federation of entrepreneurs.
And that's huge, right? Now to put it in that manner, when you put it कि entrepreneurs आते हैं, 25% stake मिलता है, they also have it in them. It's just not like कि ESOPs मिल गया, आपने लिया, they want to build it along with you, right?
Yes.
So that is the power and that is the beauty that you guys have done.
Yeah.
Amazing. So you lead a set of entrepreneurs, am I correct now?
So the entrepreneurs are leader themselves. I am only a facilitator.
Okay.
देखिए धंधा वो लोग करते हैं.
Okay.
ठीक है, वो फ्रंट एंड में बैठे हैं. चाइना में मेरा शंघाई में पार्टनर है एलेक्स फैंग, लोकल चाइनीज. सफाक टर्किश मेरा पार्टनर इस्तांबुल में बैठा है. इफ्ती भाई बांग्लादेश में मेरे पार्टनर बैठे हैं. सो दे ऑल सिटिंग इन वेरियस लोकेशंस. ईदर दे आर इन क्लोज प्रॉक्सिमिटी विद कस्टमर or they are in close proximity to the geography from where I source.
Right.
मैं मुंबई में बैठा हूँ, मेरा काम है enable और facilitate करना.
So आपका style क्या है? Is it diplomatic? Is it dictatorial? How is it? How do you work? Or what does a day in your life look like, Sanjay? When जब आप सुबह उठते हो on a Monday morning, are you looking at dashboards? What is happening?
नहीं तो पहले सीक्वेंस में आपकी बातों का जवाब देते हैं. देखिए डिक्टेटोरियल तो बिल्कुल नहीं चलेगा पीडीएस में ना, वो चाहे पीडीएस हो या कहीं भी हो.
करेक्ट.
I think longevity of a leader is enablement.
Right.
So very humbly I would define myself as people's person.
Okay.
And a leader, a CEO is expected to lead from the front.
Right.
But you need not be in the front.
Okay, that's interesting. Why do you say that?
I think the people who are, kind of the core team, they need to be in the front. मेरा ऐसा मानना है, it's something that over 30 years of working I've learned कि success का definition क्या है, and it is in the context of the question you asked me. Success is the power of dreaming. आपको पहले ख्वाब देखना है कुछ बड़ा कि मैं कुछ कर सकता हूँ, कोई डिसरप्टिव चीज़ है, कुछ है जो आप कर सकते हैं. And then success is the power of converting those dreams then into यार ये किसको कर सकते हैं हासिल. आप कुछ माइलस्टोन अपने बनाते हैं कि आज से 5 साल बाद, ये 10 साल की जर्नी है, 3 साल बाद 5 साल बाद मैं यहाँ पहुँचूंगा तो शायद एक प्रोग्रेशन हो जाएगा. अकेले तो नहीं होगा. Then success is also the power of making people
come
believe
together.
in it.
Right.
That there is, then success is telling them there is something in it together. And then success is then the power of a belief, a ruthless execution.
Right.
Persistence. तो इसी मॉडल में now answering a question, मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि अगर पलक ने एज अ फाउंडर परसीव किया है कि पीडीएस एक $5 बिलियन कंपनी बनेगी कुछ सालों में, एंड सर्विंग द कस्टमर्स, सो आई नीड टू इनेबल दैट. वो पार्टनर्स जो हमारे लिए बिजनेस करते हैं उनका बिलीफ पीडीएस के प्लेटफॉर्म में क्रिएट करना, जो सेंट्रल प्लेटफॉर्म टीम है, फॉर एग्जांपल AI को embrace करके one has to really make the best use of it.
Right.
So therefore have a subject matter expert join you or have a current person educate him or herself कि इस चीज को यार हमको embrace करना है. And why should I do it? So वो belief कि आप जो ये करने जा रहे हो उसका इस organization से जो है कितना बड़ा correlation है. और lastly success is also about बिलीफ तो आपने क्रिएट कर दिया, देयर इज समथिंग इन इट फॉर ऑल ऑफ अस.
राइट. दैट इज
वो बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. आपको एक इंडिविजुअल का एस्पिरेशन क्या है वो समझना है और उस एस्पिरेशन को कैसे इस पाथ पे आपके साथ वो चल रहा है वो फुलफिल करना है. सो कमिंग बैक व्हेन आई से आई हैव टू लीड इट फ्रॉम फ्रंट, बट व्हाई डू आई नीड टू बी इन द फ्रंट? इट्स ऑल दोस पीपल हु आर गोइंग टू डू दिस बिजनेस. वो उनको आगे रहने दीजिए ना, उनको ये कॉन्फिडेंस देना है. इनफैक्ट वो मेरा सेकंड बिलीफ एज अ लीडर कि जो भी सही होगा वो सारा क्रेडिट आपका है
और जो गलत होगा
तो उसके लिए मैं
जाऊंगा.
वो मैं जाऊंगा, आप चिंता मत कीजिए. आई एम देयर, आई एम आंसरेबल. ट्रस्ट मी, it has only come once or twice to that situation wherein you have to take the ownership. The fact that you make this statement to your team makes them feel so much in control, so much unstable and accountable कि वो नौबत आती नहीं है.
Sanjay, it has been 30 years, आपने बोला जो आप इस career में, this is the first time I see someone sitting in that seat and being so passionate about its people. जो भी, and no offense to anyone who's come here, but people talk about revenue, people don't talk about people. You are the first person who's come here and sat here and spoken about how you empower all the people who come with you. So I think kudos to you and your leadership skills. That's amazing. That is why no wonder when I was researching about you, there was a line which said that you brought in corporate structure, transparency, and a focus on stock market performance when you joined PDS. Is that correct?
So, I mean, I would, yes and no.
Okay.
Structure, yes. Performance, orientation, yes. I think when it comes to stock market, I guess that's a natural outcome.
Right.
What is important is that we are a listed company. We have solicited money from capital markets. We have institutional and individual shareholders. Like I talked about Palak Seth and his father. They own majority stake in the company, but then the rest is with the public and market shareholders. So therefore, there's an answerability to that. So as a result, when people give you money to plow back in your business and generate value thereof, you are expected to deliver.
Right.
And it is that expectation that you got to take back to the people who are working inside the company, that there is an expectation, And likewise, when you talk to your internal teams, they give you a visibility कि हमारे धंधे में हम ये कर सकते हैं, ये पॉसिबल है. फिर वो आपको वो मैसेजिंग वापस अपने इंस्टीट्यूशनल शेयर होल्डर, पब्लिक शेयर होल्डर्स के पास भी लेके जाना है, टू अराइव एट अ गुड बैलेंसिंग एक्ट. सो नाउ टू आंसर योर क्वेश्चन, एज ए रिजल्ट, Palak as a founder was very busy creating what he created.
Right.
And then for somebody like me to have joined him 5 years back, to make everybody understand this, to make everybody understand that there is a beautiful franchise that all of us have built.
Right.
We got to keep building upon it, but we got to, in a calibrated manner, monetize out of it as well.
Right.
We are here for a profit, a responsible profit as a listed company. So I think a blend of all these things is something that I've been trying to do over the last few years or so.
Wow, amazing. Thank you so much, Sanjay, for giving us insights about how you run this beautiful company and how you're people first as a person. Now, let me go back a bit and talk about Shein. Shein Aya. Sheinfication of fashion happened, fast fashion happened, ultra fast fashion happened. That did it scare you? Did it make you think कि यार the way the consumers are shopping right now, 4 drops in a year won't work. We need to move faster. Was that a thought, or how did you guys go about managing this?
No, I don't think it scared us.
Okay.
It did catch attention.
Right. Okay.
And as a result, one could carefully see that one was, of course, already seeing it. There is emergence of this phenomena, and then it created its own impact. And so scare me है. I think शीन क्या करने की कोशिश कर रहा है? आपको फास्ट फैशन दे रहा है, आपको बहुत जल्दी से एबिलिटी दे रहा है उसको खरीदने की, एटसेट्रा. So in the entire continuum of the retail landscape and the spend and the consumer behavior, this is one need that is getting fulfilled.
Okay.
And it एक कोने में एक डिस्क्रप्शन क्रिएट हुआ है, बट दैट does not mean that यही एक फिनोमिना पूरा का पूरा बन जाएगा. इनफैक्ट मैं आपको बहुत ऑन ग्राउंड छोटा सा एग्जांपल देता हूँ, एंड ऑन ग्राउंड एग्जांपल्स आर द एक्सट्रापोलेशंस ऑफ द ओवरऑल रियलिटी. एंड पर्सनल एक्सपीरियंस से बता रहा हूँ कि मुझे अभी एक अपार्टमेंट के लिए अपने आरओ वाटर प्यूरीफायर खरीदना था. एंड मैंने उसको ब्राउज किया, एंड देन आई सॉ मल्टीपल ऑप्शंस एटसेट्रा. कुछ एजुकेट किया अपने आप को कि क्वालिटी ऑफ वाटर जो आता है उसमें चैट जीपीटी एनेबल्ड टेकिंग अ मोर इन्फॉर्म्ड डिसीजन कि उसके लिए क्या बेस्ट है. ठीक है, लेकिन इतना एक जो बाइंग है वो एक ऐसे सेंसिटिव प्रोडक्ट की है, सेंसिटिव टू योर पर्सनल हेल्थ, योर फैमिलीज हेल्थ. वन वाज फीलिंग लिटिल हेजिटेंट टू काइंड ऑफ क्लिक एंड बाय करना. फिर मैं लिंकिंग रोड पे एक लीडिंग स्टोर में गया, वहाँ प्रोडक्ट देखा एंड एवरीथिंग वाज ऑन डिस्प्ले, और वहाँ पे उसने सब कुछ अच्छे से बताया. फिर मैंने उसको बोला भाई ऑनलाइन पे तो ये प्राइस मिल रहा है,
करेक्ट
है ना, तो आप ही के प्रोडक्ट का. तो उसने बोला हाँ सर हम भी ऑनलाइन है, तो प्राइस मैच्ड.
तुरंत कर दिया उन्होंने,
तुरंत कर दिया. तो दैट पर्सन ऑन द स्टोर वाज टोटली एम्पावर्ड. सो दिस इज एम्ब्रेसिंग द इमर्जिंग ट्रेंड,
राइट,
कि वो. लेकिन coming back to the Shein, if I am putting myself in the center as a consumer, it has not taken away the need for a personal touch or a personal touch and feel of the product, but at the same time this ability to browse, the ability to look for the best options, ability to discover price for the product that you have liked,
right,
is the new way of operating shopping. And coming more specific, for example, अभी PDS जब अपना global sourcing footprint बनाता है, and when we set up offices across locations, तो हमारा चाइना में भी ऑफिस है, शंघाई में, wherein the Shein originates from China, and चाइना का जो ecosystem है in terms of very fast replenishments, the ability to make small value but packets and ship them out, etc. I am there on ground. I have a team there. And then one of the leading e-commerce companies, retailer Fashion, हमने उनके साथ contract sign किया US में.
Wow.
So therefore, on one hand, I am able to sign a contract and give them the confidence that I'll be able to fulfill your requirement through my office in China. So closing the loop on the question you asked, it didn't worry us. It felt, there is an emerging trend.
And we need to embrace it.
We need to embrace it, and we need to quickly, agility, nimbleness again is very important,
in
be
fashion.
ready for it.
Yeah.
Be ready for it, yeah.
Wow, amazing. So, so you spoke about sourcing, right? And you closed Fashion Nova right now. Now, sourcing used to mean lowest cost, right? Does it mean reliability, compliance, and speed are equally critical for this?
देखिए, cost is important. आपके लिए दरवाजा खुल जाएगा, but a sustained business comes through trust, through credibility, through being able to seen as a responsible sourcing partner. ये सब चीजें important हैं, and
So all the factories, so adding to this answer, all the factories that you work with, you have all the compliances in place. You're very, very sure and very, very strict about adherence of compliances, right?
In fact, it's a very important point
Right.
you are raising. I have 180 plus compliance professionals on ground across various geographies and who are in constant touch with these partner factories. यही representation मैं customer को देता हूँ that this is a prospective factory that I want to work with because of these credentials, and I would request you to onboard this factory. And उसमें 6 महीने 12 महीने लगते हैं. कस्टमर का एक रिगरस इंटरनल प्रोसेस होता है जिसके थ्रू फैक्ट्री को ऑनबोर्ड किया जाता है. एंड दे वुड से येस बिकॉज दे नो PDS के प्रोसेस सिस्टम्स क्या हैं. सो दैट रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी, दैट representation that I give to the customer, that the factory with which I am working, from whom the goods are reaching your warehouse, is actually been through a rigorous process of ensuring they're compliant. And यहाँ cost important है, लेकिन ये जो longevity और
trust
factor जो है, उससे जो है, I think I got to be relevant when it comes to cost.
Right.
मैं वैल्यू रिटेलर में ज़्यादा अपनी सप्लाईज करता हूँ देन फैशन रिटेलर. और वैल्यू रिटेलिंग में प्राइस एक इंपॉर्टेंट एलिमेंट है. सो देयरफॉर आई गॉट टू ऑलवेज बी रेलेवेंट विद रिस्पेक्ट टू प्राइस. बट कस्टमर के पास चॉइसेस होते हैं. वो आप 3 लोगों को शॉर्टलिस्ट कर लेते हो 10 में से. आप वो 3 लोग इनको शॉर्टलिस्ट करते हो, यार ये ना मिनिमम मेरा जो रिक्वायरमेंट है क्रेडिबल काउंटर पार्टी का उसको मीट करते हैं.
So retail is changing. Every day that we see there are new fashion trends that are evolving. और I'm sure आप भी देखते होगे. There is Hailey Bieber कुछ पहन लिया, या some influencer will wear something and that's trending. So how do you keep in touch? What tools or which AI practices do you have to predict demand to catch on early trends at PDS?
So I think you got to differentiate between the addressable market and what is catching attention and creating noise, is really
interesting. There's a difference.
Is really leading to the business that you wish to do, etc. So to be abreast of all of this is important, but to be able to convert that into a sizable, meaningful business volume, these are 2 important things. And now to stay in close proximity to the customer is very, very important. I am not an exporter. I am a global company who has set up, मैंने आपको बताया, I have 180 plus compliance professionals. I have close to 260 plus designers.
Wow.
And a large part of them are sitting in a close proximity to where the customer is. Like UK is my biggest market.
Right.
And I have a very large setup in UK, wherein my designers are also customer relationship and engagement managers.
Wow.
So and they have been enabled with the latest customized application and softwares, to be able to very quickly, give designs to customers which are in line with the emerging trends.
Right.
But that's like a reactive way of doing it.
Right.
But now to have AI-based enabled applications which are in a way integrating to the various websites that the customers are having,
right,
wherein they are putting across their collections, to be able to have applications which are integrating to the Instagram or other social handles of the leading influencers. You are able to study the trends and then simulate that, do your algorithms to arrive at some meaningful conclusions. And that is what my designers are at present being able to do. And as a result, जब ये input उनके पास आ गया, उसके बाद going back to retailers, sir, this is my assessment of what is emerging, and this is therefore my design dossier that I am, giving it to you. That ability to, therefore, the point that you raise, to be able to embrace all of that ability to transform that embracement into designs and then take those designs to the customer. That I think is the big embracement to this change that we are doing at present. Then of course, once you have got your designs approved in the ability to do sampling, digital or physical sampling, and then take it to the factories and enable that learning to them to get it executed. 2-3 years back, we started something called sourcing as a service.
Okay.
It's like one of the leading US retailers hired one of the top 3 management consulting firms, saying mera cost transformation karna hai. He said, you don't need to run an office that you are having in Hong Kong and Bangladesh. But then the retailer said, I have all my factories there.
Right.
He said, who will manage out of that? Hey, there is this company called PDS. Give it to them. But then they will add up their costs. So they came to me. I said, we will work with full transparency. We will do a cost plus model.
What does that mean?
I'm sure you have a passport,
right?
And you may have got recently renewed it or made it. So when you go to a passport office in Mumbai, you eventually the person, the lady or gentleman who issues you the passport is a government officer.
Right.
The one who comes to your house for verification, paper verification, is again a government officer.
Correct.
But your entire interface at the passport office is managed by TCS officials.
Correct.
So what has the government passport office done? That, they've really outsourced the entire activity. Let's use that analogy to enable me define your sourcing as a service.
Sure.
Retailer, factory ke saath, factory will directly bill it to the retailer.
Right.
But the entire local administration of the factory
is being taken
by me. So here, for example, what I handle today, my turnover is circa about $1.5 billion, but the GMV that I handle is 2.2. What is this extra 700? This extra 700 million is similar contract like sourcing as a service, wherein this is the volume I handle. What I earn on this is approximately 3%. I get 21 million, but the business value is 700.
Right.
So this is in a way, when you said, Sanjay, your question was about, customer trends, and therefore that is very important. But this thinking at the top, यहाँ पे customer trend important है, लेकिन यहाँ जो relevant चीज थी कि cost का pressure है, outsourcing करना है, as a result, एक और trend emerge हो रहा है दुनिया में. Lot of brands are increasingly being owned by private equity companies.
Okay.
Brand like Forever 21, brand like a Ted Baker, increasingly these companies are owning it. They acquire the IPR, then they have franchisees who run the retail stores in a given geography. But एक brand को centrally तो कोई manage करेगा ना? Brand का
ethos, brand का look and feel. Because otherwise जब आप franchisees को दोगे तो फिर it is just going to.
That's where we spotted an opportunity called brand management.
Oh wow! So every year, I think you guys are just evolving.
We're evolving. So therefore, you got to be agile, you got to be nimble. As I said, startup culture. Startup culture. So
always keep pivoting, always keep getting new ideas and keep embracing them. So अगर आपको कुछ बंद भी करना होता है, so something you started, one of those ideas, for example. Is it like a startup कि ठीक है ये पैसा नहीं बना रहा है,
it's time. देखिए बिल्कुल, absolutely. जितना बंद profit is revenue minus cost. आपको revenue बढ़ाने से profit आता है और cost को काटने से भी आता है, and कुछ decision गलत होते हैं. So therefore we start new partnerships, new ventures. नया entrepreneur हम on board लेके आए. उन्होंने बोला कि साहब मैं इस कस्टमर को इस जोग्राफी में आई नो कस्टमर 1, 2 and 3, सो देयरफॉर इफ आई वर्क विद यू आई शुड बी एबल टू जनरेट बिजनेस फ्रॉम दीज कस्टमर्स. एंड हमको हिस्टोरिकली वी नो इट टेक्स अबाउट 18 months और वर्स्ट के 24 months टू गेट टू अ प्रॉफिट ब्रेक इवन. बट 3 साल हो गए, 3.5 साल हो गए, एंड वी हैव नॉट रीच्ड अ ब्रेक इवन, एंड वी डोंट हैव अ विजिबिलिटी ऑफ दैट. दैट मीन्स द रिप्रेजेंटेशन दैट द प्रोस्पेक्टिव पार्टनर मेड टू मी दैट आई विल बी एबल टू गेट बिजनेस फ्रॉम दिस कस्टमर डिड नॉट मटीरियलाइज. At that moment in time, we have to take tough calls, to shut down. Therefore, opening businesses is important, and shutting businesses also is equally important.
Wow, nobody tells this in such a simple manner as you have. I'm going to go to the digital sampling thing that आपने जो अभी digital sampling बोला था. Is it just a PR stunt, or do you actually feel that now because of brands are becoming more sustainable, consumers look for sustainability in their products? Do you think digital sampling is replacing PP sampling, or how does it work?
Digital sampling is reducing the need for physical sampling.
Okay.
पहले आप जो है डिज़ाइन फिजिकली कुछ सैंपल कागज़ पे आपने डिज़ाइन बनाया या आपने कैट से डिज़ाइन बनाया and you are actually taking those paper drawings and customers को on the face of it they felt it is good, then they said we need to see the samples and then you're getting those samples made and then sampling के लिए then you have to placing an order in the eastern part of the world, samples are being made, they are being couriered, etc.
And it takes a lot of time also.
A lot of time.
Right.
Now if you are digitally able to showcase to the customer that the drawings that I'm giving to you, the samples would look like this. So therefore you are able to enable the customer take a decision that yes, the 10 digital samples that you have showed to me, I like 3 out of them. Let's make physical sample for those 3. So from a hitherto scenario of the need to make 8-10 samples, you are actually coming down to 3 or something. So therefore it has actually reduce the dependence.
And people are embracing this trend?
Absolutely. I would say people are going beyond that now. It's already embraced. It has been in existence for some time now. In fact, this got accelerated during COVID times.
Okay.
Because during COVID times,
look and feel up nahi kar pa rahe the.
नहीं कर पा रहे थे.
Correct.
So therefore, whenever you are talking about technology, AI, it is change management, and आप अपने एक कंफर्ट जोन से बाहर नहीं निकलते हो एंड जब आपको ऊपर कोविड आया तो आपके ऊपर कोई चॉइस ही नहीं रही. सो एज अ रिजल्ट इट एक्चुअली गॉट एक्सेलरेटेड एट दैट मोमेंट ऑफ टाइम.
So do you think for the consumers does speed matter more or loyalty?
Speed is important because as it allows you to kind of get understand the customer and then quickly bring out the product that they are expecting from you. बट लॉयल्टी कहाँ से आती है? लॉयल्टी आती है कि आपने एक बार तो कस्टमर को कन्वर्ट करके उनको प्रोडक्ट दे दिया, फिर आपका क्वालिटी जो है, आपका पोस्ट सेल एक्सपीरियंस जो है, कोई अगर इशू हो गया उसके अंदर, एंड योर रेकरेंस टू डू दिस फ्रॉम टाइम टू टाइम, वो आपके प्रोसेस सिस्टम से आता है. सो देयरफॉर यू मे विन बिजनेस because of speed, but the longevity and sustaining that business and therefore the loyalty that comes in is because of your being seen as a credible process systems driven company than actually somebody who's out there just to win on price basis.
And that is how PDS comes into the picture to maintain that credibility for all the brands.
Absolutely.
Wow.
And I think our retailers are striving for that, and it is our duty as their supplier to make sure that we enable them fulfill that.
So you also mentioned that China, you also have a factory in China, and China is the global manufacturing hub. In fact, yesterday in the news, even all the tariffs have come, but they have still surpassed their exports to trillion, right? So if you have to truly say that India has an edge today, what is that factor that you feel that, it can be fabric, it can be quality, it can be more entrepreneurs coming now and building their own brands? Where do you think that India stands right now when it comes to winning in the market?
See, India today also is exporting, and my business is more in fashion,
right,
than actually a value-driven segment.
Right.
And some of the strengths that we are building, we are still in the process of building, are being overcome by my being able to do fashion, which is relatively high margin business,
right,
relatively lesser volume as compared to value segment.
Right.
Value segment means आपका 200-300,000 pieces का order है, you are able to derive a lot of efficiency, and there the price is extremely important. In fashion, the trend, being able to produce a trendy garment that allows me to absorb many of the cost aspects which I am right now addressing through the fundamental factors that I discussed. So India's strength today lies in fulfilling the fashion requirement of the customer.
Right.
But as India builds what we were just discussing, then I'll be able to play even a more bigger role in the value segment as well.
Wow.
And that will open up the larger share of wallet of the prospective customers that I can cater to.
With the rise of autonomous commerce and AI, we see that AI is now everywhere, be it planning, pricing, inventory, demand generation, design. Do you think AI is actually creating real value?
Yeah, it is. I think it is. Thoda example. Let's talk about.
Yeah,
an example.
sure. I wanted an example.
Yeah. So after oil, apparel is being seen as a very polluting industry to the world, and they say that you produce garments, and then the garments get left over and then you may do some sale, etc. But at the end of the day, they have to get into a landfill, and that's where they have an impact on the ecosystem, etc. So now, what get left over is something that is not consumed.
Right.
So I'm just giving you one example of the beneficial impact of AI.
Right.
So what is not getting consumed? Can we minimize that? That minimization, from where does it start? It starts from understanding what the customer is, wanting to buy, what is relevant, and then it starts from putting that expectation of customer into a efficient buying decision, into an efficient buying cycle, the efficient supply chain. This whole thing, AI is enabling us to do much more efficiently, etc. So I think that's one example that if I talk about responsibility of the apparel sector, one aspect of AI enabling me do that, and of course profitability. If I talk about the ability to understand the AI is enabling. I told you about being integrating my designers' ability with various e-commerce websites, with the social handles, picking up the trends, converting those trends to simulation, similar to design. So of course, that's the profitability angle of it. But the responsibility angle, yes, all of that, AI is really having a positive, beneficial impact.
Has your leadership style also changed because of AI?
I would say yes. In terms of leadership style, it has always been for me empowering the people and as a people first organization. And to me, in my age of 55, I won't say change of leadership style. At 55, again, you're telling yourself, oh, there is an old age saying that the learning never stops.
Right.
So therefore, it is back to school. It is back to using Chat GPT in terms of, for example, I'm an avid user of that, and as an enabler to your acts and decision making. So I wouldn't say leadership style change. This leadership style always had embracing new trends, encouraging, empowering people to get educated, etc. So I guess one is, now there is some facet of your leadership that get tested from time to time, and this facet of a constant learning, constant embracing, and there is this fear, that is AI going to replace jobs?
That was my next question. Aapko lagta hai, will AI replace jobs, or people should embrace AI to do their work better?
I think you already said it.
Achha, okay.
It is to, आप नहीं करेंगे ना इसको embrace. So then I think the continuity of job is a question mark. Nobody is taking away the human touch.
Right.
And the effectiveness of the value chain that is eventually leading to the human touch, that effectiveness, AI is tremendously improving. And if you don't embrace it, you would be left out.
Wow. So, Sanjay, now we want to talk about your leadership style. As a CEO, what happens when you don't find immediate right answers to the solutions? What is your process to fix those?
Go home and sleep.
Really?
So, you don't need to fight with it. I think at times the solutions are just right around you. It is at times our inability to see them, or
we are very fixed.
Or you feel this solution is right, but the courage to take
it done.
So, we are all human beings. Emotions tend to play a lot of big role into a decision making at well. When I say go home and sleep, what that meant was let it be in one corner of your mind. Okay. Let the sanity prevail. Let, with passage of time, you being able to objectively see what is right. And it doesn't mean that it is spanning over a few days. You go home, you wake up in the morning. I'm an early morning person. You wake up in the morning, you have a black and white clarity of being able to see things. And one more thing is important. When you're taking the decision, as I said, आपको मालूम है कि इसमें से एक फैसला करना है. But that decision may also not work out well. So when you wake up in the morning, then you're also able to give that courage. Okay, I will hold the consequences of the decision that as a leader, you're supposed to take decision. And my philosophy, everything goes right, goes to the team.
Right.
So therefore, this courage, so this conviction, courage, clarity, conviction, courage. I think वो घर जाके सो जाओ आप, and when you wake up in the morning, you get
सब
these.
सही हो जाएगा. Do you think you are the Dhoni of PDS right now? ऐसे लग रहा है. जब हम वर्ल्ड कप जीतेंगे तो पीछे रहेंगे. We let the team take the cup.
I guess, yeah, I think I really look up to Dhoni. You know, in life you actually get motivation, you know, and therefore I feel highly inspired. I won't humbly make that claim that you just mentioned, but I think if at all anything that I'm doing, you know, makes you feel that you know, Dhoni has done it, then I feel very humbled that you know, I'm trying to practice that.
So, what is more difficult? Is it managing external volatility or is it internal issues that arise in your company? What is more difficult for you? Like, for example, tariffs or somebody in your factory just deciding I'm not going to work?
Ragini, external volatility is a given.
वो तो होगा ही.
हाँ, so internally, we being able to handle it, we being able to embrace it, take this into our stride, be on top of it, to me is a bigger challenge. You know, पहले वाला तो given है, तो आपको focus जो है अंदर करना है. That with passage of time should also give you the ability to be increasingly more and more see कि आने वाली disruption है क्या. You're better prepared. Right. So therefore, मैंने तो to me, if I have to pick one, is the later one, the internal challenges.
Wow. Okay. And if somebody is watching this right now, right? What are the three? And they want to get into fashion, they want to get into manufacturing. What is your advice to them?
Cost is important. I'm assuming that the technicality of the business the person is fully abreast with. I'm only going to talk about the softer aspects. The cost is important, but credibility is something that will make you last in your business. So never ever go for shortcuts.
Okay.
You know, and build it into sustained processes. You know,
and it's a long game.
It's a long game. It's a long game. Of course, you have to survive. So as a result, the communication, you know, to your external and internal stakeholders is extremely, extremely important. So that you are able to manage the expectations. आप expectation manage नहीं करोगे, that leads to some suboptimal short view decision.
तो अगर किसी को suppose, just take an example, they get a contract, but they do not have any manufacturers or vendors, but credibility के भरोसे उन्होंने अपने speech से या whatever in their presentation they made the buyer believe that they can do it. Do you think this is a right practice, or do you think you should always have your guns in place whenever there is war?
I think probability of what you just mentioned to me is very minuscule.
Okay.
If you actually got an order from a credible, reputed customer, they would really won't give you an order until they have actually engaged with you and judged you on your ability to execute as well.
But कोई नया है, you know, we have seen this so many times. It's luck. मिल गया.
नहीं, नया भी जो है ना, that person, he or she will be bringing in some credentials onto the table.
Right.
Because of the qualification background, or even because of the parents, because of the family background.
Right.
Or you are the son or daughter of people with credibility. कुछ तो आप table पे लेके आ रहे हो ना. So therefore, that gives the customer a courage to believe in you, in your execution capabilities. कि आप since इस पेडिग्री से हो, क्वालिफिकेशन वाइज, फैमिली वाइज, आप इसको जाके एग्जीक्यूट कर लोगे. एंड अभी आपके जो पिछले सवाल के रिस्पॉन्स में मैंने आपको बताया कम्युनिकेशन. सो एज ए रिजल्ट, व्हेन यू नो दैट यू आर विनिंग ऑर्डर बेसिस योर क्रेडेंशियल्स, यू गॉट टू शेयर विद देम, दिस इज माय प्लान फॉर एग्जीक्यूशन, दीज आर माय की assumptions that I'm making, so that if something goes wrong, then A, you have already communicated, going back in time, that यहाँ गड़बड़ हो रही है. That I think will make people have faith कि हाँ यार, there is openness, कोई surprise नहीं आने वाला है यहाँ पर.
Wow. And early on in your career, did you make such mistakes? Were they like आपने बोला कि यार ये मैंने किया है, and our audience को आप बोलना चाहते हो ये बिल्कुल मत करना?
As you know, spend more and more years, I was wanting to refrain from using the word as you get older. But as you spend more and more years, what do you learn is you tend to make lesser mistakes, you know, and in fact, as a CEO, I report to the board and of course to the vice chairman Palak Seth. And what does board gives us? It gives us the wisdom as to at times what not to do, you know. So therefore, गलतियाँ मैंने भी की हैं, you know, and एक चीज़ मैंने कभी नहीं की, that I've always taken ownership of the mistake, you know, and so therefore my advice if at all is, आप गलती करने से डरिए मत. You know, please take your decisions, you know, and take your decision with full earnest and honesty. With passage of time, your decision making will keep getting better. कुछ गलत decision हो गया तो let's please take ownership, etc. So I think during my college days, like I am in my 10th grade, I was just about 60%. In my 12th grade, I was just about 60%. And then in BSc first year, of course, I had a gap a little bit in between. And when I saw a girl receiving Principal's Medal Award for being the outstanding student of the college, then people told me, क्यों मिलता है? You have to excel in academics and you have to excel in extracurricular activities. What is excel in academics? You have to be a university topper.
Okay.
I say, somebody who's a 60% mark, but that gave me motivation, and therefore I was doing all along my mistakes of not focusing on my studies. But one fine day, the moment comes, and I actually, after 3 years later, I walked away with that award for doing both. So let's take ownership of what went wrong. Let's be open to something good that is happening around us. Let's embrace it, let's believe it, and then let's do it.
And let's just give away your Legos and बस काम करो आंखें बंद करके. Let's see.
I think I believe in God, and somewhere it gives you power and faith that कोई है जो somebody is looking after you, because you are working with your full earnest, and that gives you courage that he is looking after you.
Wow. So looking ahead, right? What do you envision for PDS for the next 5 years? I think I know in the age of AI, this question is no longer relevant. कल कुछ बदल जाएगा. But still, what do you envision that this is going to be the future of, say, one global supply chain? This is going to be the future of retail store owners, physical stores, and PDS.
You said, given the AI, nobody can predict. So I don't think I can predict. But one thing I can clearly see, I hope you will invite me again for a coffee after a few years, and I will again like to say something in that moment of time, that we are a startup.
You are a startup.
We are an agile, nimble company who is always on its toes to embrace what is changing, and therefore have the quickness, agility to quickly turn it into something that I can serve my customers with. There is only one thing that is constant here, is change.
Change is constant. Amazing. Yeah. So, last question before we move on to our fun round is, in one simple line, what will matter most in the fashion industry over the next decade?
Trust, credibility. And trends will keep emerging, cost pressures will keep coming in, etc. For this ecosystem to believe in you, that you are going to add value, is that you are being seen as somebody who's trustworthy, who's conducting him or herself with utmost credibility. To me, in any business, these are the important factors. To me, that's extremely important. Please don't just focus on costs. Focus on building your credibility, building trust in the ecosystem. When I say trust in the ecosystem, it is customers, it is the employees, it is your partner factory, it is your board, it is your investors. So if they see you building trust, I think that's a sustained winning formula.
Wow. All right. So last one, Sanjay, before we leave, what is that one line or one thing that you want to tell our audience which you stand by? It can be anything. It can be a poem, it can be a quote, it can be something you truly believe in, which lets everyone remember you.
I think we discussed a lot about the technicality of the subject. So I tend to write, and दो चीज़ें मेरे जहन में आ रही हैं, and if you allow me to share that. Sure. As somebody who's worked 31 years in terms of what I want to share, that the first two lines that come to my mind is, मिल ही जाएगी मंजिल ठोकर खाते खाते, मिल ही जाएगी मंजिल ठोकर खाते खाते, गुमराह तो वो हैं जो घर से निकले ही नहीं.
Wow. Amazing. I think the entire audience is clapping right now. Amazing.
Thank you. And the other thing is something, while the first one was about courage and venturing out, etc. And then life also has another facet, that says, जिंदगी को जीना आसान नहीं है, जिंदगी को जीना आसान बनाना पड़ता है. बोले कैसे? बोले कुछ सब्र करके, कुछ बर्दाश्त करके, और बहुत कुछ नज़रअंदाज करके.
Oh my God, I have goosebumps right now. I think this was amazing, Sanjay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much truly for being here. And I've not written this, and I'm going to tell you very, very honestly, you are one of those rare gems that you meet and you take away so much. So right now, I know today when I'm going to go back home, I'm going to look at my daughter firstly with lot more love. ये कभी ना कभी चली जाएगी. And secondly, look at my team, look at my people, and ensure that they are the winners. And I become the Dhoni of my company. So
Really.
thank you so much,
Thank you
Sanjay.
for having
Great,
me.
amazing. What an exciting conversation with Sanjay. And here's what it truly highlights. The world doesn't move forward on ideas alone. It moves on systems that are designed to hold up under pressure and leaders who take responsibility when certainty disappears. Sanjay's perspective reminds us that real value creation often happens away from the spotlight, in the decisions, trade-offs, and structures that quietly keep global ecosystems functioning. If this conversation helped you look at fashion, business, or leadership with a sharper lens, pass it on to someone who's building for the long term. Do subscribe to Find Out with Ragini and stay tuned for more such fun conversations. Signing out.